Go to redo.servicemagic.com. That's redo.servicemagic.com.
Everybody's talking at me.
Brett McMahon, my guest, representative of the Associated Builders and Contractors website, www.abc.org. And let me mention just a few things here real quick. Number one, on one of the reports you guys released, it shows that pensions are in bad shape. As of 2006, well before the market dropped and recession began, only 6% of those funds were doing well. And now, with this, taxpayers could possibly be on the hook for $165 billion. The liability could essentially be unlimited because, and get this, these pensions have to be paid out until the workers die. And then my final statement here, Brett, and I'll get your opinion on this. The good news is, just last week, President Obama said, there will be no more bailouts. Where's Joe Wilson when we need him?
Well, it really is. It's opening a checking account here. That's what's really different about this. It's essentially creating an entitlement as opposed to the, frankly, to me, equally offensive concept of all the bailouts we've done up till now. But the distinct difference was those had a set amount of money, and it was paid out to some degree, depending on how you define it. It may or may not have been paid back to some degree, but this is different. This isn't just setting aside a pool, a specific set of money. This is literally just putting a line item in the federal taxpayer budget that says, as needed, we're going to start tapping the taxpayer to pay for these benefits, turning this private indebtedness into a public obligation when people out there are struggling to save for their own retirements. It's really outrageous to have this kind of thing happen.
Yeah. Could you explain to me this statement that Senator Bob Casey, Democrat, I see here, you don't have to explain, I just see there's a D after his name. Well, anyway, Senator Bob Casey, Democrat, says it will save jobs and help people. He didn't throw in the little children, did he? But how can he make a statement like that? Yes.
Yeah. Kitty cats and puppy dogs, I'm sure, soon to follow. The idea is that what he's trying to say is that some employers are going to have to pay more into these plans. Well, that was the deal when they got in. It's been the deal for 30 years. It's their bed. Why should the taxpayer be on the hook for the deal that these folks made? Grow up, be big boys, and take it on the chin. It's not as if there are fewer truck drivers in the United States. There's actually a whole lot more. Their problem is they're not union. And GAO actually just in accompanying their testimony at this hearing today, just released a report and says this on page 11 of literally released 20 minutes ago. It says future growth of multi-employer plans is largely predicated on growth of collective bargaining. Well, that kind of sums it up, I think. Collective bargaining is what unions do, and without growth in unions, these plans are doomed, and that's kind of the goal here.
Well, don't put too much faith in that, and this is definitely not my expertise, but as I recall, the PLA, that was Project Labor Agreements, and all he did on that, the president, he just got his little black pen and said, hey, I'm going to sign an executive order. And so now you've got non-union construction firms that are paying for the union pensions. Basically,
that's right?
That's how that works.
4 to 6% a week. That's right. 4 to 6%. Yep.
Can he break out his executive order on these two bills? If he
no, I don't think so. This is beyond the scope of what an executive order is possible to do, though I wouldn't doubt that he wouldn't try if he didn't have a squad of lawyers telling him he couldn't.
Now, I before we run out of time here, I gave out Associated Builders Contractors website, abc.org, but tell the listeners about this Halt the Assault campaign, would you please?
Yes, thank you. It's Halt the Assault, spelled out all 3 words, .com, and what we're seeking to do is get information to and from small business people around the United States who are feeling infringed upon, to say the least, by either the federal government, your local government, or your county. It doesn't really matter. We want to hear your stories about how difficult it is to remain profitable in business these days, to start a business, or all those kinds of things that all of us experience on a routine basis. And frankly, it's just getting worse and worse. And we're trying to ask our political leadership at every level, how about just leaving us alone? Let us get back to doing what we do, because we provide the jobs for America.
So what do you want the listeners to do? Do you want them to go to that website and get involved?
Yes, please. Go there. There's a postcard they can fill out that sends a nice message to Senator Reid, President Obama, and Speaker Pelosi, asking them to please, leave the small business people out here in the country, leave them all alone, let them get back to doing what they're doing, and not stop putting stuff on top of us every single day.
Well, Brett, I certainly enjoy the visit, and thank you very much, and you have a good Memorial Day weekend, and talk to you later.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Right now, I want to go to Phil Kirpin. He's Vice President for Policy at Americans for Prosperity. Hey, Phil, how are you?
I'm great, and great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
I just saw some stupid, crazy thing that somebody made a statement, and Grassy, and I said, oh, never mind. I see there's a D after his name, so that makes sense right there. That's the reason it was stated. However, I got to eat a little bit of crow here, because there is, I'm trying to find it here, Congressman Gene Green, Democratic congressman, and he's from Texas, I think, right?
Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. Democratic Green was joined by 73 other Democrats on a letter in strong opposition to the FCC's power grab. Now, boy, that is earth-shaking news with all those D's after those names. That's like 74.
Yeah, this is a big deal, and we've got the whole list of them on the Americans for Prosperity website if someone wants to check and see if their Democratic member of Congress signed the letter or not. But I think it just goes to show how extreme what the FCC is now proposing is, that you've got a substantial block of Democrats in Congress saying, hey, wait a minute, we never gave you the power to do this, we don't want you to do this, we would just as well continue the successful bipartisan policy of the past 12 years of having essentially a hands-off policy and leaving the Internet largely unregulated. And so I think combined with probably almost every Republican being against what the FCC is trying to do on Internet regulation, this gives us a very good chance that if the FCC refuses to back off, we may be able to get legislation passed to specifically stop them. And I think it's a very positive development. I think it shows that at least with respect to an industry that's such an obvious success story as broadband Internet over the past decade, there may be some common sense left in the Congressional Democratic Caucus.
And I see, just those words you use about the success of the Internet. Just totally unbelievable, that I can also see the present chief up there saying it is that big. Somehow we've got to get control of it. I'm just thinking that's the way he sits around and thinks sometimes. So I could see him saying, how am I going to get my fingers in this? Or is it that it has become too strong and there's too much opposition whenever he, for example, gives us a fib, and immediately the Internet is, coming back and retracting him? How do you feel about that? Is it that he wants the government to have the control of the Internet, or he's more concerned in controlling free speech?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. First of all, I think that the current administration and the FCC genuinely do have this upside-down worldview in which corporations are evil, private ownership is evil, and government must protect us from the big bad phone and cable companies. I think that the sloganeering that they use